All right. Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. Kicking off stream tonight by ranking every single game I've played in 2025. I think there's like 40 something games, 47 or I don't know. I didn't count. Maybe a small number for everyone else, but you know, I'm a stay-at-home dad. I do this part-time. So yeah, ranking every 2025 game I played, every new, old, first-time play, replay, whatever, every game. A couple of these I haven't finished yet. I plan on going back to them at some point in the future, but yeah, let's jump on into it. All right, and I should say about my rankings here, so I'm pretty choosy about what games I play, even ones I play for the first time. So when I was looking at the typical tier rankings, it goes S, A, B, C, D, F, and I was thinking, well, I didn't really outright hate any of the games I played this year, so kind of eliminated the D and F categories, and I liked a lot of the games I played. So I wanted a bit more nuance with the A category because a lot of it would have just fit into A. So I expanded A+, A minus. Those all would have gone into the normal A category for a regular tier list, but just for a bit more nuance, I've split it into 3. And yeah, let's get going. All right. Tales of Iron 2. We'll talk about Tales of Iron 1 later. This I find is a very underrated game. It's a side-scrolling sort of animated game where you play as this rat, or I think you're a rat in both games, and you're this rat prince, whatever. You're fighting other animal creatures. It's just a side-scrolling hack and slash with, I think, really awesome looking 2D animation. It was a fun time. I enjoyed it. I'm going to stick it in A for right now. I think they're set up for either some DLC or another sequel, and I'll be there. I'll play it day one. They're not that expensive, and I had a good time with it. They presented some challenge. I should say for every game on here, I pretty much play it on normal difficulty, whatever the quote-unquote default difficulty is. That's what I tend to like to play on. So yeah, Tales of Iron 2, I enjoyed it. I also think it's the game I was playing when I hit affiliate, so maybe a little bit of bias there, but I enjoyed it. Yeah. Doom: The Dark Ages. So I played, as you can see here, pretty much all of the Doom games except for Doom 3 leading up to the release of Doom: The Dark Ages. And I have to say I was pretty let down with Doom: The Dark Ages. I think maybe coming off of Eternal, which I liked a lot. Dark Ages just felt very slow, very not clunky, but just a lot slower. You have a shield. It's very easy to parry things. You kind of there's a reason this game, I think, won best innovation and accessibility at the Game Awards this year, because there were so many different sliders that you could adjust and tweak your own custom difficulty design. And yeah, so it had that going for it. I just kept it pretty much on standard the whole way through, and even that was pretty easy. Yeah, it's just not what I wanted coming from Eternal and 2016. I expected more out of this. What that is, I'm not quite sure, but even the story, it was a prequel to 2016, and it didn't quite link up in the way I thought it would have. Yeah, overall, just kind of a letdown. It's going to go in the B tier for now. At the end, I'll go and look over everything and kind of fine-tune, tweak anything that I think needs to be moved. First, Berserker Kazan, this year's... I think it's this year's Souls-like amongst the new games I played, yeah. So I played this before I played Neo. Neo's further down here on a first-time play. I liked First Berserker Kazan well enough. I think the character design, it had kind of an anime style going for it, looked pretty cool, but the environments were pretty drab and boring, I thought. And also, maybe just because I wasn't used to the kind of Neo-inspired loot mechanics, it's like, don't get attached to a weapon or armor for very long because you're going to be upgrading it at least a few times within the next level or so. It's just like, number go up when you're looking at your stat sheet, your equipment sheet, number go up, brain go brrr, and that sort of thing. I didn't even utilize the set bonuses when you get all of the pieces of armor together. Again, I played on normal difficulty. I did play the demo, way back before it came out, and that was a lot harder, but I think they tweaked the default difficulty and made it a lot easier. So I didn't struggle with a lot of bosses, but the end game bosses were really good. I thought you fight like this giant dragon at one point that took me a while, and that was a ton of fun. Depending on what ending you get, the end boss has like 3 different phases, and that was great. Fun mechanics. Not that much weapon variety or build variety, I found. Yeah, it was fun. I like Souls-likes. They tend to appeal to me a lot more. So it's going to go an A-. I enjoyed Tales of Iron more, but I wasn't disappointed with the game as in Dark Ages. So yeah, A- I think seems pretty good. All right. Claire Obscure Expedition 33. The game everyone seems to like to hate on after it nearly swept the Game Awards. Deservedly so, I think, because it is our first entry up into S tier. When I first saw the trailer for this way earlier in the year, I thought nothing of it. It was like, that's a game I'm going to skip. I don't like JRPGs or turn-based combat unless it's Pokemon. Pokemon for me is like the turn-based JRPG style game I grew up with, so I'll always give those sort of positive ratings. I never had a bad time with Pokemon, but other turn-based games just it doesn't do it for me. I like Souls-like, fast-paced, hack and slash style action games, right? But Expedition 33 really surprised me with the real-time mechanics incorporated into the turn-based combat. The story, I was blown away by. The music, oh my god, like, yeah, everyone has heaped praises upon this game. I think it's totally deserved. I played it on PC, and I liked it so much that my wife actually got me, the fancy PS5 looking version for Christmas. She's playing through it right now, which I think is pretty cool. So very rarely do I buy a game twice, but I wanted that for Christmas, and I got it. So it's fun watching her play through it right now without like the story spoilers and whatnot. Yeah, I don't think it's game of the generation like I've heard some people say, but it's up there. I think it's really damn good, and yeah, you'll see if any game beats it when it comes to 2025 games. Hollow Knight Silksong. I played Hollow Knight for the first time early this year too, so we'll talk about that later. But Silksong, I actually have not beaten it yet. I am almost to the end of Act 2. I was playing it at the end of September, and once October hit, I was, full steam ahead on playing horror games, and I set Silksong aside. Haven't gone back to it since. I do plan on going back to it at some point. It's just when, but what I played and what I've seen of the later part of the game, I really freaking enjoyed it. The combat, playing as Hornet, is a lot of fun. I really like Metroidvanias. The art style is amazing. Music, exploration, the platforming I thought is great. Again, playing as Hornet I think is actually a lot better than playing as the Knight, just because, I don't know, playing as Hornet feels a lot more fluid and fast. Boss fights are fun. Finding all of the secrets throughout the world is great. It's gonna go up in I'm gonna stick it in A+ for now because I do really enjoy it. Again, with the asterisk, the caveat that I have not played it all. I will play it all eventually, but gosh, how many hours have I put into it? Like anywhere between 30 to 40, and I'm not into the end of Act 2 just because I'm kind of slow exploring it, but I really, really like it. And there's a free DLC coming next year, and maybe that'll be my jump back on point to finish it up. Little Nightmares 3. So last year, for the first time, I played Little Nightmares 1 and 2. Great little spooky type, not really horror games, but they have that kind of vibe to them, the kind of vibe that, Tim Burton movies give off, or Henry Selick stop motion pictures like Nightmare Before Christmas, Coraline, things like that. That kind of spooky vibes. So loved the first two. I liked 1 more than 2. And then maybe my expectations were too high coming into Little Nightmares 3. I think it's a different team that made it, a different developer. Not entirely sure. I think the team that made 1 and 2 are making a game called Reanimal that comes out next year, and I think the demo is actually out for that. I haven't played that. But this just felt like a complete watered down version of Little Nightmares 1 and 2. It's not, as far as I could tell from the story, related at all to 1 and 2. You don't really fight bosses in the game, but like everything just felt like a watered down version of Little Nightmares 1 and 2. And that's the best sort of way I can explain it. It was very short. The puzzles were stupid easy. And I say that as someone who doesn't typically like puzzles, a lot of puzzles in video games. Yeah, it was just, it left me wanting a lot more than what it gave. So it was a big disappointment, especially for the price you pay for it. So it's going to go down into the C tier. Again, I did not hate the game, so that's why I think C is my bottom floor for this tier list. D and F would be like despise or like really loathe the game. I didn't loathe it. I, had some fun with it, but it just left me wanting a lot more than what it gave. Chronos, The New Dawn. What I think is one of the most criminally underrated games this year. Going into it, it has a kind of Dead Space vibe. I played Dead Space, the remake, for the first time this year. It has that super atmospheric sci-fi horror, like aliens are kind of taking, this alien life form is like taking over parts of the world, and the like walls are dripping ooze, and it's just super atmospheric, and the sound design is fantastic. There's no difficulty settings in it, which I always enjoy. You just have to meet the game on its own terms, and the ammo is really scarce. And you're gonna, at least I went through certain encounters several times to like manage my ammo better, learning where enemies would pop out from. And yeah, it really surprised me. Some really fun jump scares. Again, just a really great haunting atmosphere, with, I think, a really interesting story. It's funny that these two games are right next to each other. This game, in order to get the true ending, you need to play through it multiple times, but I felt satisfied after playing one playthrough. There's two endings that you can pick at the end, and I felt satisfied with my choice. I could have done a New Game Plus playthrough and gotten the different ending, but I was happy with it. So it would teeter between, all that praise I heaped on it. It's going to go, I don't know. No. I said it's the most criminally underrated game. I need to stick by what I said. Like, these are very different games, like side-scrolling 2D hack and slash animal game versus, sort of more intense shooter and sci-fi horror game. Yeah, it'll go above Tales of Iron. Comfortably in the A tier for sure. Really underrated game. I hope it gets more praise in the future. Silent Hill F. Another game, in order to get the true ending, you did play through multiple times, but I wasn't satisfied with my first playthrough, the ending that you get at the end. And the combat was really clunky. The only Silent Hill game I've played before is the Silent Hill 2 remake from last year, so I'm not entrenched in the series at all. So maybe I came into it with wrong expectations. I don't know. The story was interesting enough. Some good jump scares here and there, made for some funny clips. Puzzles were straightforward enough for the most part. Nothing really groundbreaking or all that intense. Thankfully, not a super duper long game, so if you did want to go back through it, you could probably run through it pretty quickly. But I was left a little disappointed, but I'm not really sure why, like what I wanted more from it. But it was pretty good. I'll be curious to see what this studio does next. It's not the same team that made the Silent Hill 2 remake. I think that was Bloober Team. This is a different team, but yeah, the future of Silent Hill seems to be doing okay. Yeah, I liked it well enough, but it's going to go above Doom. Doom disappointed me more. I wanted more from this, but I'm not quite sure what, but Oh, the combat was clunky. I mentioned that already. And gosh, there's a bit at the end where you're doing like several combat encounters to reach the end of the game. And oh, it was just getting really tedious for a while. So maybe that left a little sour taste in my mouth. I've heard that they've updated a bit on subsequent playthroughs that you can skip some of the combat scenarios if you're just trying to rush to the end. So who knows? Maybe that would improve my thoughts about it, but for right now I think it's comfortably above Doom, but not good enough to reach the level of A. No, I'm Not Human. So I played this during spooky season. This was a really interesting game, totally different genre than what I'm used to. It's kind of a point and click kind of, you play in this one house, these like basically two hallways with a few rooms. There's an apocalypse going on outside the house, and you get to decide who you want to let in. Some of the people you let in are humans, and others are, I guess, some sort of alien. I played through a few. It's a quick, short game. You can lose easily. I played through a couple different times, failed a few different times, but then got one ending, where technically I also lost, but it was at least further on in the game. Really interesting game. It wasn't entirely clear to me how to like reliably test if who you let in is human or not. But I think it's pretty clever. More psychological horror, not really jump scare. You just kind of see some creepy images every now and then. Every time you go to let someone into your house, they'll knock on the door. You look through the peephole of the door, and man, everyone looks really messed up in this game. Like they're living in freaking meth head country. But yeah, whatever. An interesting, fun little game that, makes for some, I don't know. I'm just babbling at this point. It's good. I didn't expect much from it. It's not really my style of game, but I thought it was okay. For now, it'll go above Silent Hill F. Again, just because I'm putting games in the B tier, I liked a vast majority of the games I played this year, okay? So just because it's down here doesn't mean I hated it or anything like that. It's just like, maybe I wanted a bit more from it, or it's just not really my genre of game, but, it has its merits. I had fun with Doom, but that left me really wanting more. I didn't go in with any expectations for No, I'm Not Human, but there it sits for right now. All right. Another game I didn't have any expectations for. I forget where I heard about it, but probably on Twitch somewhere. Speaking of genres that really aren't my thing, I mentioned earlier that turn-based RPGs are not typically my thing. Look Outside, I played for a few hours, and I really want to go back to it at some point. I think it came about from what's it called? Like a game jam. Like the dev came up with it over the course of one kind of like weekend working with other developers or something like that. It is a turn-based JRPG style survival horror pixel art game. And survival horror, turn-based like survival horror, yay. Turn-based, meh, let's give it a try. It wasn't very expensive, and I was really, really surprised by like how much I was enjoying. You play as this guy where there's another apocalypse going on outside your apartment building, and you're just exploring your apartment building, checking up on your neighbors, seeing what the heck is going on with them. Are they mutating into some creature? Have some other creatures like invaded their apartment? And you have to keep going back and forth between your apartment and the rest of the apartment building in order to rest. You can level up your stats and stuff like that. You can take care of things going on inside your apartment, and people will knock on your door occasionally, and they can be added to your party. Like there was one character I added that looked like it was freaking Jason Voorhees, and they, initially be kind of apprehensive to let them inside your apartment because they're just standing there wielding a knife and a mask, and it's like, I took the gamble that I could trust them, and yeah, they were weird, but they joined my party, and they were like the big hulking individual that could take deal massive damage to other people. So I was really surprised how much I enjoyed it. Again, I only played a few hours of it, a lot left to explore in it. I'll probably start a fresh save at some point in the future, but I was shocked how much I liked this. So it's going to go in A tier also. I say I don't like turn-based combat and JRPG style. I would like to get out of that mindset because it's not like I've tried a ton of the classics other than like Pokemon. I've dabbled in a little bit of Final Fantasy VII and never finished it, but you know, this could be the year where, you know, maybe I'll break out and try like Chrono Trigger or something like that, right? Some of the best of all time from what I've heard. So I would like to, you know, get over my silly turn-based combat funk. Hades 2. I freaking love Hades 2. It is my second favorite game of the year. Spoiler alert for what's my favorite game of the year. I played Hades for the first time, again, earlier this year. We'll talk about that later. And Hades 2 didn't disappoint. I didn't play it in early access. I waited for the full release, and I was surprised we got it in full release this year on PC and Switch 2. I played it on PC. I'm tempted to buy it on Switch 2 just so I can play it upstairs. Yeah, I like that art style. I like the characters, the whole representation of Greek mythology in these games. The combat is a ton of fun. The weapon variety, the build variety, using the different god powers. It's just a ton of fun. This was the year that I figured out I like roguelites as well. Roguelite, whatever. Holy crap. Just an addicting gameplay loop that was so much fun. So I'm happy Expedition 33 won a bunch of Game of the Year awards at the Game Awards. But I was happy Hades 2 and Silksong each won at least one thing that, you know, Expedition 33 didn't sweep up. So I was happy my second and third favorite games of the year, even though I haven't finished one of them, won at least one award, deservedly so. It would be, I don't know how people would feel about this, given like the Hades lore, its animation style. I would love to see how that could be incorporated into a sort of anime style show. I don't know how you would represent like the whole gameplay loop of Zagreus or Milanoy failing and going again and again, but I don't know. I'd be interested to see it because I love the art style and the music so much, and the characters are all voiced super well, animated super well. I just think they're just plain fun games to play. Ghost of Yotei, I think it falls in that category of what I've heard described as safe Sony sequels. God of War Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, Last of Us 2. I don't know if I'd call that safe, but that sort of category, Horizon Forbidden West, things like that, where you take this IP, you tweak the gameplay maybe a little bit, but the story isn't quite as good as the first thing you got, right? Nevertheless, I like the combat of Ghost of Tsushima, and Ghost of Yotei develops on that a little bit, and I just had more fun exploring this world. The story overall, I think, is a lot weaker than playing through Jin's story in the first one. But I had a good enough time with Ghost of Yotei. It is kind of, you could call it a generic revenge story, but it took a couple twists that I didn't see coming. Combat was fun. Again, I'm a combat kind of guy. That's what I look for in video games. It was fun. I didn't explore as thoroughly just because, I don't know, sometimes you reach a point in open world games where you're just like, I'm done exploring the world. I don't want to get so fatigued that it totally clouts my image of the game. Let's just get to the end of the game. And yeah, I had a good enough time with it. Didn't blow me away, but not nearly as bad as I've heard some people make it out to be. Like, if you like Ghost of Tsushima, unless you just played Tsushima for the story alone, I could see how you really despise Ghost of Yotei, because I do think the story is a lot weaker. But I mean, if you had fun playing, just purely playing Ghost of Tsushima, I think playing Ghost of Yotei that's fun too. So I think it's gonna sit, because it was a little disappointing, just a little bit, like not, you know, not being hyperbolic here or anything. I enjoyed it more than First Berserker Kazan, but again, these games surprised me a lot more. Definitely not on the level of these two. So A minus, it would fall towards the end of the A category for a normal tier list, but just splitting up the A's here gives me a little bit more nuance. All right, so that is all of the 2025 games I've played this year. Definitely comfortable with this in the S tier. S tier is going to be reserved for things that I would consider to be amongst my favorite or comparable to my favorite games of all time. A plus, these are very comfortably second and third place for me. These surprised the heck out of me. Just like, yeah, had a ton of fun with these. Had a few complaints here and there, but really enjoyed them. Wanted a bit more from these. This just isn't my kind of thing, but I appreciate it for what it is. And Little Nightmares 3 just disappointed me more than Silent Hill F and Doom the Dark Ages. So there's my 2025 ranking of games I've played this year. All right. Next category. A lot of first-time playthroughs for this year. So old games that I just never gotten around to, or, just wanted to play at some point. Either they were cheap and I just wanted to give them a try, or I knew I would like them, but just hadn't gotten around to playing them. Tales of Iron 1. So I like Tales of Iron 2. I think Tales of Iron 2 improves upon the combat. How much can you improve upon hack and slash combat? It finds a way to do it here and there. Different weapon styles, weapon varieties, some more interesting enemies to fight. Tales of Iron 1 is just slightly below Tales of Iron 2. I enjoyed the heck out of it. It reminded me playing it, if you ever read the Redwall series of books as a kid, or if you saw the cartoon adaptation on PBS Kids growing up like I did. It reminded me a bit of that kind of vibe. Just these warrior rodents fighting off the vermin, the snakes, the frogs, the birds and stuff like that. Just I don't know, it was just a fantasy kind of anthropomorphic animal kind of world that I dug. So it would fall. I liked Tales of Iron 2 more. Look Outside surprised me a lot, but I would replay this again. Neither one of these games is very long. There's only one boss fight that really pissed me off in Tales of Iron 2. The last boss is pretty hard as well. Tales of Iron maybe was a bit more balanced, but maybe they just ranked up the difficulty a little bit more in Tales of Iron 2. But Tales of Iron was good. I'm fully behind the team that is making these. I'll play anything they come out with next. I'll give it a try. Black Myth Wukong. This was, I think, the first game. I think I was going back and forth between Black Myth Wukong and Tales of Iron, but I think this was maybe the first game I started this year with. And I'll just say I am happy that I didn't play it last year, because it would have competed with Astrobot as my favorite game of last year. Two totally different kinds of games. Black Myth Wukong is more up my alley, but Astrobot, I just played with a big ass smile on my face the whole time. But holy cow, Black Myth Wukong. I had so much fun with it. It got me into kind of looking up the mythology, Journey to the West, behind the inspiration for this game. I bought one version of the book to read at some point because it just got me so interested in the lore. And it's not straightforwardly a Souls-like. The combat definitely doesn't feel quite Soulsian, but it's just kind of an action adventure RPG kind of game. I'm not really quite sure how to describe it. It looks beautiful. Again, the lore got me really interested in it. It is kind of a big ass boss rush style game. You fight so many bosses in this game that sometimes it gets a little overwhelming, but I just had so much fun playing through this game. There's not stupid deep customization. Sometimes I appreciate that. You just fight with a bow staff the whole time, that you get a few options here and there of adjusting the weapon style. You get different armor sets, but it keeps it fairly straightforward from what I can remember. You get different abilities that'll cool down, that you can use a little bit like God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok, kind of similar to that style of combat, which I think when I was reading some reviews about this game, some people were upset that they were sold on that premise, but this was a lot harder than those games. I don't think it has any difficulty settings, so it is challenging, but I don't think it's nearly as hard as some Souls-likes, but a lot of fun. I hope they come out with DLC. I know they're coming out with not a sequel, but some other Black Myth : whatever, right? I'm excited for it. Yeah, totally my kind of action-oriented game with neat lore. I still wouldn't put it above Expedition 33, though. This had more of everything: fun combat, music, story, etc. Yeah, I don't know. Lies of P. I had heard about this game for a number of years. When did this come out? 2022 or 2023, so a number of years, couple years. I hadn't got around to playing it until this year. I played through it twice. Once just to play it, and once leading up into the DLC release. This game is amazing. This has been said dozens of times before. I think it is the best Souls-like outside of the From Software games. It certainly is better than some of their games, better than Dark Souls 2. Yeah, just a fun, not stupid long game. Really presents a challenge. I know it was a lot more difficult upon release. They've nerfed a lot of things since then. Yeah, interesting lore, cool world, playing as this Pinocchio inspired world. You play as a version of Pinocchio, right? The parry timing is super tight. Oh my gosh. I never was quite comfortable with the parry timing. It's like way tighter than Sekiro or anything like that. But it gives you lots of tools to sort of play around that. If you're not super good at parrying, unless you go for the true final boss, then you have to get good at parrying that boss. Yeah, fun, different mechanics. You can combine different handles with different weapon styles, blades, hammers, blunt weapons, so on and so forth, like that. Yeah, super awesome game. It's gonna go, I think, at the top of A+. Yeah, I would love to play through it again, maybe do a randomizer of it. And the DLC that came out this year was a ton of fun. It just added to my love of the game. It expanded upon the lore, kind of diving into the past. The final boss, oh my god, of Lies of P Overture was so difficult. And, you know, I fully admit I use the summons, their mechanics in the game. I'm fully going to use them. Even with the summon, wow, it took me a lot to be, what's his name, Arlecchino. Really fun, cool boss design. Yeah, I really don't have many complaints at all about Lies of P. I don't know why it's not an S, but it'll be our wall maybe for the top of A+ into S. Like it would go like here if I could, right? Bottom S, top of A+, something like. Another Crab's Treasure. Another game that came out last year that I wanted to get around to, and I just didn't until this year. Another Crab's Treasure is I think it's a great entry into the Souls-like genre because it has different sort of difficulty settings where you can one-shot things if things are just being obnoxious to you. I never did that, but the parry mechanic is in it. It's kind of weird. It all depends on the kind of shell you have, which that was a fun mechanic. And you're not swapping out weapons constantly. You're just upgrading this one fork that Krill, the main character, has. I like the humor in the game. The design of the world is, I don't know, I just found it a bit more, I guess, for lack of a better word, lighthearted and fun than a lot of Souls-likes, but it nevertheless still has that kind of Souls-like style to it. It's very punny at times, so that's your kind of humor, I recommend it. There's definitely some of the bosses are difficult for sure. Fun world, fun game to play, fun world to explore. Again, a nice, I think, introduction. Like, if you're not going to play Dark Souls 1, which everyone should if you want to get into the Souls style, play Another Crab's Treasure. I think it's a much more forgiving game just due to the mechanics of it. I would put Another Crab's Treasure. This one's another tough one. Chronos really did surprise me this year. Let's put it there for now. Yeah, I think so. It's comfortably within the A tier. I just don't know. It definitely beats out these three. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, let's just consider it tied with Chronos. Chronos surprised me more. But I really liked Another Crab's Treasure. All right. These next three games are games I played with a buddy of mine, Chasing Nerd Cred. I think he actually goes by Nerd Cred over on YouTube right now. We played these as co-op. One of these was my suggestions. The other two were his. Co-op typically isn't my kind of thing, but it was fun to play these games with someone else. Sea of Thieves. Definitely not my style of game. If you're going to play this solo, this game goes down here for me. It's just not my style of game. It has a very unique art style to it. But it's really a game that's meant to be played with other people. And like, I got to give it more credit for this because I did have fun playing with Chasing Nerd Cred. Like, if I had stuck with it and we played more together, it would probably be even higher. But for now, it's going to go to the bottom of B tier just because, I don't know, the combat in it isn't very deep or engaging. It's a lot of grinding to like improve and level up in the game. It's that kind of game where, you know, they want you to dip back in pretty consistently in order to improve your stats, improve your ship, improve your equipment, all that stuff, and, you know, assemble a crew. It's very hard to play this game in a single player style because you have to steer the ship, repair incoming like cannon fire, like breaks in the ship, and then also fight opposing enemies. It's just much easier to do that with a whole crew rather than one or two people. So had a ton of fun playing with my friend, but as a game by itself, it would sit somewhere in here. I do have fond memories of playing, you know, with my buddy, so it'll sit here for now. TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Another game you can play single player easily or co-op up to 4 people. You can have randos drop in if they have like your room code or anything like that. Dude, this game is so much fun, and its soundtrack kicks ass. It's a short game. Like, the 2 or 3 times I played it, I think I beat the whole thing, like, again, with my buddy Chasing Nerd Cred, and then another rando dropped in. And yeah, awesome soundtrack, awesome art arcade style, playing as one of the 4 turtles, or you can play as Master Splinter or Casey Jones and a couple of other unlockable characters. Really nostalgia driven as someone that mostly grew up with this series, but I also just like Ninja Turtles in general, so ton of fun. The only reason I would be interested in the upcoming, I think there's a Marvel game made by the same dev team. I would not be interested in that game at all if I wasn't heaping praise upon this game. But yeah, ton of fun. I recommend checking this game out if you have any interest in arcade style beat 'em up games with, again, cool animation, great music. Each turtle and each character has their own different kind of combat. Yeah, ton of fun. Really easy game to get into. Overcooked 2. I played this with Chasing Nerd Cred for a little bit. We didn't get too far into it, but it was pretty funny to like sort of crash out over how badly we were doing on some levels. I had never watched any Overcooked 2. I know it was popular. It was a popular co-op game. I think it still is a pretty popular co-op game. Again, I haven't delved too deep into it, but for what it was a lot of fun. But not really my style of game. Yeah. We didn't get too far into it, and we were having trouble with some of the different orders and the layouts of the levels as they change each level to level. But it gave me some laughs, you know. It is what it is. It didn't disappoint. I wasn't expecting much from it. Just a good time playing with a friend. So that's what it gave me. All right, Cuphead. I had so much fun playing Cuphead. I would say it's one of the hardest games I've ever beaten all the way through, just because it makes it so easy to jump back in and keep trying over and over and over again. It is just a boss rush game that, I hate to use the phrase brutally difficult, but at times it really can be. I made it an entirely separate tier list ranking all of the bosses. I died in grand total like 443 times throughout the game. It tells you, it has a mechanic where it'll tell you how many times you've died. Yeah, go check out that video if you want to see my thoughts on all of the bosses in Cuphead, including the DLC. But this is an S tier game. Again, just, I like 2D animation. 2D animation, fun music, really engaging combat playstyle. You know, the different kind of guns you can use. You figure out what kind of style works for you of the two different guns you can have equipped, what specials you want to have equipped. Yeah, a game that I think is easy enough to jump back into, like once you like sort of get the muscle memory back of knowing when to dodge, when to shoot, and all that. So I'd really be keen to play Cuphead again at some point. Yeah, totally my kind of thing. I'm very curious for whatever this studio comes out with next, but I love it. It's totally up my alley with the old school 2D animation and the old timey kind of music. Love it. Love Cuphead. Balatro. This was the first roguelite I tried this year, because back when I did have Game Pass, it was there, and I'd heard praise about it from last year's game rankings, and holy cow, this game was addicting enough that I actually got it for my phone, and I was playing it at night while going to bed. That being said, I've played some roguelites later on that not put this to shame, but I think are way better. But Balatro is a lot of fun. If you know poker hands, that's kind of what determines the power of your hand, right? I haven't played it in a long time, so I can't really speak too much on it, but I just remember having a really fun time with it. It surprised the heck out of me, and it opened the floodgates of trying different roguelites, as you can see, you know, like here and here and here, right? So I got to give the credit where it's at. I think there are better roguelites out there, but nevertheless, I really enjoyed my time with Balatro. It's a game that you can just jump back into again. There are a lot of different cards, jokers to unlock that give you different like power-ups and whatnot. Yeah, fun game, easily accessible. Yeah, and I think I always appreciate when a game is made by a single developer. It just impresses the fuck out of me. And as far as I know, this guy is still making improvements to the game. So yeah, at some point I'll have to jump back into it for sure. Ori and the Blind Forest. Absolute beautiful game. Amazing sound design, amazing soundtrack. Sound design too, I guess. Beautifully made. The beginning could make you cry pretty easily. You play as this cute little fox-looking spirit, woodland creature thing that, I don't know, you just don't want to see hurt. Fun fun Metroidvania world to explore. Not really a lot of combat in this first one. You just kind of shoot little things here and there. I like the platforming abilities you get. Yeah, once you get enough like level ups of different abilities, it's just so much fun to zip through like one area of the world and explore the whole thing. Not really any boss fights in this. It's just a lot of like, again, platforming challenges, which typically wouldn't be my thing, but I found it, you know, engaging and accessible enough that I really, really had a great time with it. I haven't played the sequel yet. That's in my backlog on my to play list at some point. Yeah, had an amazing time with Ori and the Blind Forest. Really sort of hit that Metroidvania itch. This either goes to the top of A, just because I had such a fun time with it, or the bottom of A+. Silksong hits a bit more, like, gives me that Metroidvania stuff that I want, plus combat. You know, I had such a fun time with Ori. It's going to go bottom of A+. Super Mario Odyssey. Believe it or not, only the second Mario, like complete Mario game that I've played, other than like Smash Bros. Or Mario Kart and things like that. I played Super Mario World for the first time just last year, and hot take, I didn't care for it, just because I was so bad at the platforming. Weird how I love Metroidvanias, but I'm terrible at SMW, but that's the way it goes. Super Mario Odyssey was a ton of fun. I see why some people rate it as the best 3D Mario game, alongside the likes of 64 and Galaxy and things like that, and we're all waiting for the next 3D Super Mario game. But Super Mario Odyssey was a ton of fun. Different platforming challenges and worlds and boss designs in each level. It didn't overstay its welcome. Nothing was stupidly annoying. Fun music. The hat mechanic was pretty cool, being able to control and move around different enemies and things like that. I wish I had more to say about it, but I'm not like the biggest Mario fan in the world, but it was entertaining. It was a lot of fun. Again, maybe it's a hot take that it's not going up like in here or here because I'm not, you know, an established Mario fan, but I enjoyed it a lot more than Super Mario World. So, that may be a hot take in and of itself, but it's going to sit comfortably in the A tier. I think probably there. I think I liked, again, these are definitely more my thing. This surprised the hell out of me, even though I only played a little bit of it. I want to go back to it. But Super Mario World, very fun game. I'd play it again. I liked it. That's all I can say about it. It is fun. I can see why some people consider it the best. All right, now we get to, so I had never played any of the Doom games except Doom 2016, leading up into Doom the Dark Ages. I played everything except for Doom 3. I left that one aside because I heard that one was quite a bit different from all the others. Okay, starting with the classics, Doom and Doom 2, of which we are listening to the remastered soundtrack right now. I think these games hold up very well. Thankfully, you can save at any point in time, so you could save scum your way through it, or, you know, create as much or as little challenge as you want. Thank God you can do that, because holy cow, some of these levels are difficult. I think I didn't realize that you could save any time. Like, up through part of Doom 1, I did keep dying at a certain point, and, you know, when you die, you go back to the beginning of the level, and you're just stuck with the pistol. You got to find the other weapons again. Or you can save, like, once you get through a certain, you know, levels, you have all your loadouts, your shotgun, your all the various weapons and whatnot. You can save and just start over from there. You can, like I said, kind of save scum, but these games were kind of released in a time where you couldn't, I don't know, you just didn't save as regularly, so you had to create your own save states, right? it is weird to shoot and not like be able to, go on the y-axis at all. It's just shooting ahead, and an enemy could be up here, it could be down there. So that was a little weird to get used to, but I did have a lot of fun with them. I don't know, I liked them, but did I like them as much as games like right here? They would definitely be, again, this might be sacrilegious, but oh, come on, no. Definitely better than these. They, God, ushered in a whole era of boomer shooters, right? They're FPS legends. I just think there are certain styles of game I enjoy more. Yeah, I don't know. B feels comfortable. I'm like, don't have really a ton of rhyme or reason for where I put things where I do, but top B tier. I think that's good. Again, I don't really hate any game I played this year, so I'm kind of, something's got to be last, something's got to be first for right now. Doom 2, though, I liked actually more than Doom, slightly. It is a lot more of the same. However, two things. One, you get the super shotgun. The super shotgun is a lot of fun to use. And two, I just was so impressed with like the creativity and the levels, which is a double-edged sword. One, I was again impressed with the level of creativity in the levels, but also I got lost a ton. Oh my gosh, there was one level I was stuck on for like, God, a half hour plus, which is a long time for a Doom level. All of the enemies were dead, and I was just running around trying to figure out where the heck is the exit. That happened more than once, but yeah, I remember things like that, and that left an impression on me. The last boss is annoying as hell. Really, really annoying, but for the most part, it would be like, Doom 2 is here, Doom 1 is here. They're like neck and neck with each other. So I don't know. I would have to put Doom 2 above Doom just for like a couple of little things. That's it. But I really liked both of them. But I like these more, so they could go here, I guess. Also, maybe they get some legacy points. Maybe. I don't know. They would like either one. We'll think about it at the end. Doom 64, though. Oof. I didn't care for the art style change. I'm sure, like, on the Nintendo 64, it looked impressive at the time. I liked the style here more, to be honest. And also, the reason this game is my least favorite game of the year, this would actually almost border on D tier if I had a D tier, is the final boss. You know what? I'm salty enough about it. Adro below. The only reason this game gets a D tier is for the final boss of the game. I don't know, it's like an alien mother kind of looking thing, right? I tried so many times to beat this game without... Okay, so the way the final boss is set up, you walk into this arena, and there's like these 3 pyramid-looking things, and a bunch of enemies flood out of these pyramids, right? So you have to beat wave after wave after wave after wave of enemies, and then finally, the final boss will appear. And she shoots so much tracking BS at you that you die almost instantly after surviving the cacophony of enemies and BS that get thrown at you before getting to the boss. However, there are, I believe, 3 secret levels. Again, emphasis on secret levels throughout Doom 64, that if you complete those levels, you will unlock the Unmaker, the best weapon in the game. And not only will you do that, you will close off each of those pyramids where the enemies flood out of. So when you walk into the arena, it's just you and the final boss, and you have the best weapon in the game. The boss becomes really easy. If a game requires you to unlock its super hidden specific secrets in order to beat it, I don't think that's good game design. So I was going to put this at the bottom of C tier, but just thinking about it made me salty, and yeah, especially coming off of Doom 1 and 2, which I enjoyed a lot. Doom 64 was a major letdown. And I was so happy to see the back of it and replay Doom 2016, which is so much better. Anyway, yeah, so Doom 64, my least favorite game I played this year. I wasn't going to expand upon the tier list, but here we are. I did not care for Doom 64. I didn't think the art style was nearly as good. Some of the level design I thought was more of the same. Maybe I had just, kind of burnt myself out a little bit on the classic Doom experience by the time I got to it, but really that last level just left a sour taste in my mouth. Thankfully, I think Doom is in much better hands now than when here, even though I was disappointed by the Dark Ages. Doom Eternal, though, holy shit, what a game. This is the kind of game that I was doing well enough. Like, again, I played all of these on normal difficulty, and the normal difficulty, even on Doom Eternal, kicked my butt. I was, getting through the game well enough. But eventually you reach a point where you get all the different weapons, and not every weapon works against every kind of enemy you're presented with. So you're playing a kind of combat chess where you have to juggle the different weapons. You have to use your flamethrower. You have to use your freeze grenade in order to get enough ammo, enough health, enough shield. You have to juggle all these different things. And I did not figure this out until, gosh, almost the end of the game, and it was just like, I'm making this so much harder on myself by not using all of my tools. I wasn't like just using, say, the shotgun or anything like that, but there were some weapons I was neglecting. And once I figured out, like, oh, you need to, basically have like a good rotation of different weapons to use, right? Like, get good at basically like knowing what button prompts to switch to different weapons. Then it clicked. Then it was like, oh my god, I get it now. Like, this is like the ultimate rock, paper, scissors game, or combat chess, like I said, of knowing what to use where and how to juggle all these different enemies. And once I figured that out, this was so much fun. I loved this game. It is going in the A+ category. Oh man, now this is the hard part. No, I didn't like it more than Lies of P. Maybe here more than Ori. Ori just really doesn't, it's a beautiful game, just doesn't have any combat. Silk Song has some annoying runbacks. That is the negative, I guess, for it. Probably here. Yeah, amazing game. And coming off the heels of Doom Eternal was why Dark Ages was a big letdown for me. But I'd heard people complain about... Speaking of Doom, demons chanting in the background here. I'd heard people complain about the platforming, but there was only like one or two sections where the platforming was a bit annoying and a little jank. But for the most part, it was a lot of fun, like whipping around the areas, like dodging, like basically dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge throughout the arenas while avoiding enemy fire. And you'd get a hit in here, you run away, you get a hit in here, a couple hits, right? And try to preserve all of your ammo and whatnot. But yeah, if I were to jump back into a Doom game, I would want to replay Doom Eternal for sure. Hades. Very similar thoughts to what I have of Hades 2. I just actually like Hades 2 a little bit more. I was actually just in a Twitch conversation today about, which do you prefer, Hades 2 or Hades 1? Because people were ranking their games. And yeah, I think in the minority in that chat, where I actually prefer Hades 2. I prefer the weapon variety more. You not only go to the underworld, but the above world, which again, it's like twice the amount of gameplay, right? And so to speak. Hades 2, though, it has all of the positives I have with Hades has all of the positives I have with Hades 2. Just Hades 2 just has a little bit more that I like. There's one weapon I do not like using, the bow in Hades, whereas I could feasibly use all of the weapons in Hades 2. But yeah, it's another one of these situations where Hades 2 is here, Hades is here. So yeah, amazing, fantastic roguelites. Some of my favorites. They are my favorites except for one game we haven't talked about. Hollow Knight. a game that had sat in my backlog for years. I knew I would like it when I got around to it. I think I'd waited so long that, and Silk Song had been announced. I was like, I'm gonna wait until we get like a Silk Song estimated release date, and then I'll play Hollow Knight. And I forget when in the year I played Hollow Knight. I think it was over the summer at some point. I don't know. It was well before Silk Song came out, but thankfully I'd beaten Hollow Knight by then. But yeah, it was exactly what I thought it would be. Metroidvania, amazing art style and sound design, all that, with some Souls-like elements sprinkled in there, right? Yeah, I liked it a lot. I didn't beat every single boss. I didn't go through the entire Pantheon. I just didn't want to burn myself out on that. But yeah, I had a ton of fun with it. It's an amazing game. It's as great as everyone says it is. There's a reason like a lot of Metroidvanias that get made nowadays get compared to it. You see it towards the top of a lot of Metroidvania greatest of all time lists and whatnot. I like Silk Song more, so it could fit comfortably there. Yeah, it'll go above Ori. I really want to play Ori and the Will of the Wisps because I've heard that is just a lot better than Ori and the Blind Forest because it actually has some combat thrown in and more interesting platforming and whatnot. But Silk Song gives me the fun platforming, fun exploration, combat, all that good stuff. I like Silk Song more. So yeah, between these two, it seems right about nice for there. Slay the Spire. If you would have told me at the beginning of this year the game that I would sink the most amount of hours to would be a roguelike deck builder, I would have laughed at you, but this is the game that I have sunk over probably got to be almost 200 or 300 hours into because it's a game I play off stream. I only played it actually a couple times on stream, but when I'm upstairs just kind of chilling doing nothing, I'm on my laptop. Slay the Spire is the perfect game to play while I have either a podcast in or a YouTube on the background or the TV's on. It's a ton of fun. I cannot wait for Slay the Spire 2 to come out at some point next year. Slay the Spire for S tier, it's going to go up here at the bottom of S. I did not think I would enjoy it as much as I have, but I'm still playing it. It's addicting. I actually have not beaten a complete run. Like, I have not killed the heart at the very end yet. But I don't care. It's just fun to keep on playing. Yeah, it's great. I cannot wait for Slay the Spire 2. I will be there day one. Slay the Spire, my favorite roguelike. I had never thought I would say that, but because it really doesn't have combat. It's just a deck builder, but a really, really fun deck builder. Hades 2 and Hades on paper are more my thing in terms of their combat, but, you know, I've sunk more hours into Slay the Spire, so I can't ignore that. Another roguelike, Dead Cells. I came to it a bit later. Like, it wasn't the first roguelike I'd played. I'd already played Hades, and I'd played Hades. I don't think I'd played Hades 2 yet, but it was a lot of fun. It definitely felt more Metroidvania-esque, which, on the one hand, somehow, like, I wouldn't think it lends itself to a roguelike very well because with a Metroidvania, you're trying to explore the whole world, right? And it seems like you level up and progress like on each death a bit slower to me. But I was able to get through it and I think I beat Dracula for the Castlevania expansion. I beat one of the main bosses. I didn't reach the true ending, but, you know, I had my fill of it. It was very good, a lot of fun. Had an addicting game loop, fun combat, fun exploration, cool pixelated art style kind of. Yeah, art style. Yeah, no complaints really. It's just I had fun with some other roguelikes a bit more. Probably there. Yeah, I could see myself chucking on Dead Cells again at some point in the future. It's more my thing than Super Mario World, Super Mario Odyssey. I liked it more as a roguelike than Balatro. again, I feel bad for, like, I'm not shitting on Balatro at all. It was the game that got me into roguelikes, but it just like opened the floodgates to try more things that are my cup of tea, and Slay the Spire was just, I think, a much better deck builder than Balatro. So yeah, roguelites. That is my takeaway for this year. That is definitely a new thing for me. Dead Space, the remake. I'd never played Dead Space, and this was, you know, we're getting into several games here that I played during the October season. I love horror movies, as you can tell. Horror movies are my favorite genre, but horror video games tend to, they can be hit or miss. I love survival horror, as you can tell, but not all horror video games are my cup of tea. Sometimes they're too puzzle focused. Sometimes they're too, like just pure hide and seek that take like inspiration from Amnesia and Alien Isolation and things like that. Those, once you played one, I think you played a lot of them. And then you get like the Dead by Daylight likes and whatnot, which definitely aren't my thing. But survival horror, absolutely love. So Dead Space was so much fun to play. Holy cow. Great atmosphere, sound design. The remake looks beautiful. I haven't played the original. I would like to play Dead Space 2 at some point. I've heard Dead Space 3 isn't very good. And it sucks that, what is it, EA, those bastards, like, have basically said that the Dead Space IP is dead, which sucks because this remake was so much fun. Another game that doesn't overstay its welcome. A lot of different sort of weapon variety to use. I have heard, I have no idea if this is true because I haven't played the original, that they did a lot more balancing on the different weapon style. Basically balanced out all of the weapons for the remake so that each weapon like is a bit better. Whereas I think in the original you can just stick with the first weapon. That's your best bet. Turn the music a little bit. But yeah, just a amazing survival horror sci-fi game. I would love to see this game in like an Alien Xenomorph style world, because there were a couple of points that did really make me jump and like freak out. But yeah, ton of fun. Yeah, awesome, amazing survival horror game. I will play it again in the future, and Dead Space 2 at some point. Resident Evil 7 is a game that I had watched many playthroughs of it, just because it has that kind of Texas Chainsaw gritty feel to it. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I have only played Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 remake. I think at some point next year, my plan, maybe during the September-October spooky season, is to play the entire series, because I've never played Resident Evil 1. That has that fixed perspective puzzle orientation that probably isn't my cup of tea, but I just want to play it. But yeah, I really liked the vibe of 7. Avoiding Jack Baker at the beginning is tense as hell, and then you get the whole Marguerite section, which that boss fight was nightmare fuel. The puzzle house with what's his name, Lucas, felt like a Saw movie. The ship part goes on a bit too long, definitely, and the final boss was nowhere near as good as the rest of the game, but for over 2/3 of the game, it was pretty freaking great. So it's going to go into A tier for sure. But where? It is a really freaking great horror game, I think. I would like to go through it on New Game Plus at some point to, like, once you have all your weapons in hand. I think, you know what? Another Crab Treasure is going to go to the top. I think I would rather replay Resident Evil 7 over Chronos, like if I had to choose one. So something like that, I think, would probably work. Pumpkin Jack. This game totally appeals to me just on vibes alone. Nightmare Before Christmas is amongst my favorite movies of all time. So just like looking at the trailer and the stills of this game, I was like, oh man, are you playing as this like demon pumpkin king with like these fire powers and whatnot? And that's the vibe it's going for. But it's kind of just like baby's first platformer. If it's the kind of game that you could give to a little kid as like one of their first 3D platformers, and they would have a ton of fun with it. It does have great Halloween-y looking vibes to it, and at the end you go to like the North Pole and whatnot. I don't think you're trying to save Santa. I don't remember. The kind of not very memorable, but just on vibes alone, it was kind of fun. But it was a game that I thought about playing for a while, and it was a little bit of a letdown, I think. I enjoyed it for what it was. Again, it's super short. Again, just straight vibes. It's gonna go in the B tier somewhere in here, probably here. This was a little bit more of a letdown than what I had built up in my head, just based upon seeing this image. Pumpkin Jack, right? You think, oh, Jack Skellington, that sort of thing. As a horror game, or spooky game, these are obviously better. This isn't going for a scary kind of vibe at all. It's just Halloween-y looking. Yeah, there. We'll stick with that. Inside. So I'd played Limbo once before, and I just hadn't gone around to Inside. Inside is a game where you can play in one sitting. Again, it goes for that kind of spooky atmosphere. You're set in this decrepit, almost post-apocalyptic looking world. You just got some puzzles sprinkled throughout the game as you're scrolling along. There's a couple of underwater segments that are kind of creepy because there's this like freaking fish lady chasing you, and there was one part I was stuck trying to figure out this puzzle for a while and I couldn't. But it's a good game. It's really good. I don't know if the developer of Limbo and Inside have made anything since Inside has come out, but I liked it a lot. It's gonna go above the original Doom games, but below these. Yeah, I liked it. Some okay puzzles, some good tense chase moments, great art style. I liked it. Eventually, I just run out of things to say about a game. It's good. You should play it. They're super. The OG Resident Evil. I see this on many like best games of all time. It's often towards the top, if not the very top, of the best Resident Evil games, best survival horror games, best, I don't know, third-person shooter, action, survival horror games, so on and so forth, right? So many positive things have been said about Resident Evil. I had played the Resident Evil 4 remake first, though. I like that game more. And I thought going into this that I would not like it nearly as much. I thought probably the being able to aim and being able to aim but not move would irritate me a lot more than it did. And it was a little clunky at first trying to figure out the controls, but once I got used to it, I had a hell of a good time with this game. There were a couple of cheesy quick time moments that I'm glad they got rid of in the remake. The remake's just a lot more polished in my mind. Thankfully, we're not ranking the remake right now, but probably play it at some point next year. Maybe do a randomizer of it, because I've seen another streamer do randos of Resident Evil 4, and it looks like a lot of fun. But I totally see why people love this game and adore it. It is really good. I was surprised at how much I did end up liking it in the end. I just played the newer version first. It's like if you see a remake of a movie first, that's what you're going to compare it to when you see the old original version. And that's what I was doing in my head. If I had played this when I was younger, I would probably hold this up as a top 10 of all time, top 5 of all time game. But I still did really like it. It is going to sit very comfortably in the A tier. Maybe also get some legacy points and all that, just given all of the praise people have heaped upon it. Yeah. again, these are just newer survival horror games, clearly influenced by this. This is obviously in the same universe. Yeah, let's stick it comfortably there. Really liked it. If I had a choice, I would always choose the remake, but I could see myself playing the original again at some point. Game that holds up very well in 2025. On Halloween, to cap off spooky season, I played the Mortuary Assistant for a couple of hours, and I'm not someone that gets scared very often. Again, horror movies, my favorite genre. I can watch a horror movie and go right to bed. The Mortuary Assistant, though, I had watched some people stream it, and that's when I learned what it was, and I was like, oh, I want to give that a try sometime. And I've never had a game follow me into my nightmares, dreams. It was weird. It wasn't like I was in the game getting haunted by all the demonic things, but it was like I was still down here playing it while getting jump scared and whatnot. So that was the nightmare, playing the game and getting jump scared. It was very weird. But yeah, it's a good game. It freaked me out at points, and you can crank up the amount of like haunting level that you can get. So maybe at some point that could be a good incentive to, you know, play this on the quote unquote max difficulty, as it makes for just funny content. I tried to play it with mouse and keyboard at first, and oh, never again. Mouse and keyboard are not my friends. So I went with a controller and had a much better time with it. For what it is a really good game. It's just not a game I see myself replaying a lot unless it's like specifically Halloween season. Super fun to watch people play it because it's just a funny jump scare fest at times. I did like 2 or 3 playthroughs of it, and I picked the wrong body. So I got possessed both times. So, oh well. It was a fun time for what it was. There's several funny clips posted to YouTube that shows how well I did at the game, how well I handled that stressful situation. Neo, I just hit credits for Neo yesterday. I still have the DLC to do, well, the secret boss and the DLC to do. I really like Neo. Again, I played Kazan before it. I played another Team Ninja game, Wolong Fallen Dynasty. I always get Wolong and Wukong confused. Wolong Fallen Dynasty, and enjoyed that game. And I played Rise of the Ronin. That was a super disappointing game from last year. Yeah, I'm having a good time with Neo. It's fun. I can't wait to play Neo 2. That'll be my first game of next year. And then leading up to Neo 3, release early February. Like before Lies of P came out, the Souls-like games that were not From Software games that I heard the best things about were Neo 1 and 2. A couple of Souls streamers that I watched that have been asked what their favorite Souls games are. Both of them have said Neo 2, so that makes me really excited to play Neo 2. But yeah, I'm liking Neo for what it is. A couple of frustrating moments. It has the same thing as Kazan, as like, don't get attached to a specific weapon or armor set, because, you know, by the end of a level, you're gonna number go up, brain go burr situation again. It's not my favorite kind of system. I prefer like a certain loadout and sticking with it throughout the game. Like, say at the beginning of Elden Ring, you can use Bloodhound Fang, a very early weapon, and stick with it the whole game. Neo doesn't have that kind of thing. You could find a specific spear and then find 10 different versions, 20, 30 different versions of that spear throughout the game. So it's just you're constantly switching your loadout. But I like it. It does have, oh man, especially the early game. Holy shit. Some really difficult parts. Again, just, I've heard so many good things about Neo 2. I think I'm, maybe putting too many, hyping myself up too much for Neo 2, but I think I'm gonna put it there. Dead Cell, these games I just had more fun with. I've been having a lot of fun with Neo. I've sunk so many hours into it. But it's, again, very comfortably in the A tier. You can see why I split the A tier into 3 different categories, because the category itself would just be huge. A is already big enough as it is. All right. Last game, Batman Arkham Origins. We will be playing the DLC, the Mr. Freeze DLC here next. I liked it. The combat style weirdly felt a little bit outdated. Not outdated, because a lot of games have copied the Arkham style combat, but it just felt like after a little bit you're doing the same thing over and over again, doing your combos, getting your counters off, flipping over enemies. But it's fun to play as Batman. The story of early Batman, he's only in his like 2nd year in this game, was really good. It's set on Christmas Eve, so it has that kind of vibe to it. First encounter with the Joker was really good. Holy shit, I was so impressed with so it's not Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy in this game, but Troy Baker replaces Mark Hamill, and holy cow, that dude is amazing at sounding so much like Mark Hamill's Joker. I was so impressed with that. The actor that plays Batman is really good too. He doesn't sound exactly like Kevin Conroy, but sounds like Batman. So yeah, really like this game. I think of the Arkham games I played, Asylum, City, Origins would probably be my order. I've yet to play Night. But yeah, this would go in A-, I think. Probably above Kazan, but I like the combat of the Ghosts games so much that they'll stay there. Story was a little bit of letdown. But yeah, you get to play as Batman. Come on, what's not to like about that? All right, so the rest of the games I've played before. These were replays in some form. Pokemon Scarlet, I didn't play it on stream. I played it off stream with my wife early in the year. We just were in a Pokemon mood, so let's decide on a team together and go through the game. I have never been as harsh on these games as some people were. Like, when they launched, yes, they were technical disasters and the frame rate was terrible, lots of pop-in, but since they have updated the game, I've yet to check it out on Switch 2, but since they've updated the game on Switch 1, it looks a lot better, it performs a lot better. To me, these are the games that I dreamt about as a kid. An open world, explorable world with Pokemon running around everywhere. And that's kind of what I got, just in a technical mess of a package. But since they've updated, it's a lot of fun. It's not my favorite Pokemon game, not by a long shot, but I really like it. It's a Pokemon game. I've never not had a somewhat decent time in a Pokemon game. I wish the Elite Four was a lot better in these games, but one of the DLCs is really good, presents a sizable challenge. Again, it's just fun to explore the world. I wish you could do the gyms in any order. Some of them you really can't, just because they don't scale the gyms, but yeah, I have a lot of fun with these games. It's gonna go in A- as well. I don't know. This is where I think it's too fine grained. It's hard to decide. Maybe that. There were parts of Arkham that really frustrated me. Some annoying, janky bits. Oh, speaking of Arkham, the best boss in this game, to my mind, is the Deadshot fight. Not Deadshot, Deathstroke, Slade Wilson. Because you really have to be good at reading his tells and when to counter him and whatnot. You can't just mash attack because he'll counter you. There was one part where I think this game came out in 2013, so there's a little bit of technical jank in it. There's one part where I flipped with Slade upside down and slammed him to the ground, and he just disappeared. But the game still thought I was fighting him, but he didn't appear, so I had to reload the save and do the fight all over again, and that was one of my better attempts. The boss that definitely took me the most amount of tries, but that was funny. bit that I remember from that. Pokemon Scarlet though, I'd play it again. You know, I played it with my wife. We like doing Pokemon playthroughs together and choosing our teams. Yeah, it's fun. What can I say? I like Pokemon. Speaking of liking Pokemon, Pokemon Platinum is my favorite Pokemon game. It's going to go to S tier, probably there. I did a Pokemon Platinum randomizer. I think it was on my stream anniversary, March 12th. Started a randomizer, and it was a ton of fun. My starter was Suicune, and it carried us through a lot of the game. Legendaries don't get a ton of great moves early on, but their stats are good, and it carried us. I stuck with it through the end of the game. I love Platinum. My first generation was Generation 2, and for most people, like, your first generation is your favorite, but I prefer Gen 4 way more than Gen 1 and 2. Really haven't played much Gen 3. So yeah, Platinum's great. I love it. I wish the Diamond and Pearl remakes were more like it than what they ended up being. But yeah, Platinum's great. I love it. I want to do more Pokemon randomizers in the future. Maybe give some ROM hacks a try, especially Renegade Platinum. I've watched some playthroughs of that and would love to play through that game. Next. Dark Souls. Another game that I played through a randomizer of. I do love Dark Souls, but man, once you get past the Ornstein and Smough part, the game falls off. But again, this was a randomizer. I don't think I quite figured out all the randomizer settings, because so in order to beat the randomizer right, you need to find all the Lord Souls, the Lord Vessel, and then go beat whoever's in Gwyn's room. All of the Lord Souls were still in their same boss location, and the Lord Vessel too, even though the bosses were randomized. It seemed like those specific items weren't randomized, which was weird, because all the other items were randomized. So if anyone out there knows the Dark Souls randomizer settings, can help me figure out that, because again, I want to get into more randomizers. They're fun. They make fun content. They make games more interesting than just playing through vanilla versions of them. But yeah, other than that, had a ton of fun with Dark Souls randomizer. Souls is my bread and butter. I absolutely love it. I'm reserving S for, I guess, what would now be considered some of my favorite games of all time. I can't not put Dark Souls up here. When you compare it to modern Souls-likes, like Elden Ring, even Lies of P to an extent, but there's just something weirdly comforting and cozy, dare I say, about Dark Souls that just going back to it is like putting on a warm blanket or a comfort movie or something like that. It's a comfort game. It's like, this is home. Even though I was pretty late to the Souls genre, but it's great. Games are good. I love it. Speaking of games are good, Bloodborne. Anyone that knows me knows this is my favorite game of all time. It was my first Souls-like. It has a place of honor right there. I got the Bloodborne book behind it. I got the graphic novels up there. It's my kind of vibe. Has kind of a horror aesthetic to it with a bunch of weird alien shit thrown into. I love the fast-paced combat of it. I like it. I love it. On this most recent playthrough, I finally started to notice a little bit of the 30 FPS, maybe just because I've been gaming on PC for now a little over a year. I don't know. My eyes are weird enough as it is, but I'm not really one to complain about low FPS for the most part, but beyond that, I have like no complaints about the game, to be honest. It's just a fun time, quick paced, rewards aggression, spooky Victorian looking world to explore to begin with, and then you get into the creepy woods, which are a huge area, and then you get all the weird alien cosmic stuff towards the end. Gehrman's one of my favorite boss fights of all time. Okay. Yeah, Bloodborne pretty much always will be the top of S. Yeah. Doom 2016, the only Doom game I had ever played before playing through most of them again. Especially going from Doom to Doom Eternal, they play very differently. Doom is, it's still fast-paced, just not nearly as like hyper fast-paced as Doom Eternal is. But the art styles are actually very differently. So Doom Eternal, some people moan about the like, oh, it's all the colorful stuff that you got to pick up and whatnot. It's like, oh, whatever. Doom, though, 2016, much more darker atmosphere. Holy cow. Yeah, super grim looking. Weirdly, I think graphically looks better than Doom Eternal and, dare I say, Dark Ages, but I've only done the one playthrough of Dark Ages, so I could be lying about that. But yeah, Doom 16 is just a solid game. It was my first Doom game. Yeah, probably the top of A tier. Fun. Again, played it on normal, not super challenging, while still a challenge in parts. Great music, great atmosphere, fun shooting combat. Unlike Doom Eternal, you do not have to use all of the weapons, so if you just want to stick to the shotgun and a couple of weapons, you can do that. It's fun. You can't get much more fun than Doom. Last of Us, this is part 2 remastered. I have never been on the hate train for this game. I played it when it first came out, loved it. I don't think it's on the level of the first one, but I didn't play through. Oh, so the only reason I bought the remastered version is because I wanted to play through the chronological setting, which was really interesting, actually. So it starts out with just all of the cutscene stuff, which if it's your first time playing through the game, don't do that. But once you get to the Seattle part, when you're playing as Abby, Ellie and Abby, it actually gets really interesting. I thought the way it was structured, they would do all of day one Abby, all of day one Ellie, all of day one Abby, day two, so on and so forth. But actually, they take different parts of both day ones and they're interspliced throughout all of day one. You play multiple points as Ellie and then as Abby and so on and so forth. And I thought that was actually really fun. It keeps the gameplay like varied and interesting. I think I was playing this just like leading up into spooky season because it is kind of a horror game in parts. So I didn't finish it, but I played through it a couple times, so I didn't need to finish it. Yeah, I like it. It's not as good as the first. I don't totally get the hate for it. Never really have. The second season of the show wasn't nearly as good as the first. That I do get a lot of the criticisms for, but just talking about the game, I really like Last of Us Part 2. And again, I'd recommend if you've played the game before and you own the PS5 version, check out the chronological mode. It just made it a bit more interesting to play. It's not above Lies of P or Hades. I do think the game is way too long. I thought that even in my first playthrough. Maybe there. Yeah, I enjoy the combat in the Last of Us series. Last of Us 1 is just much more compact and better paced, I think. Yeah. I'll stick with it there. As you can tell, I skew more positive on games because, only have a limited time to play and stream, so I try to pick games that I think I'll like. 2 more. Dante's Inferno. I played this on my birthday, September 1st. I played it all in one sitting. I played It's the first time I turned on my Series S in years. Well, maybe a couple years or something like that. Played through it all. I absolutely love this game. In my opinion, I think it's better than the first two God of War games. It's a God of War clone that I think happens to be better than several of the God of War games. I desperately want someone, the studio no longer exists, Visceral. I desperately want someone to pick up the rights, if they can, to make Purgatory and Paradise, because I really want the follow-ups to those games. We're getting some kind of Dante game in the future, but I don't think it's related to this at all. But just going through the 9 Circles of Hell is really interesting. The different enemy variety you get for the most part. Really interesting bosses in each Circle of Hell, leading up to the final confrontation with Lucifer. Yeah, it's a great game. If you like that God of War style hack and slash game and you have access to this somehow, it's not available on modern console. Well, except if you have a Series S or Series X, because it's from the PS3 360 era days. Give it a try. It's super cheap for the most part, as far as I know. I love this game. It is my favorite of the, again, that kind of era of game. I like God of War 3 more, but to me, this beats out the first two God of War games and the other God of War games from that era. Does it go S or A plus? There are a couple of parts that I think are a bit BS. So I started out playing it on normal just to like play it in one sitting. But there was one part I reached. There was like a checkpoint where I reached with low health. And then I was fighting, like, I was trying to avoid environmental hazards and enemies. And then I would die, and then it would put me at the checkpoint, but with that much health again. So I wasn't regaining any health, so I was just kind of stuck. If you set it on easy mode, you can change the difficulty settings. Each time you die, you regain a little bit of health. So I did that for a little bit just so I can move on and then set it back to normal difficulty. So that was a little annoying, that kind of bad checkpointing there, but I don't know. It is one of my favorite games of all time. Bottom of S tier seems right, I think. I don't know. We'll leave it there for now. Last game to talk about, Limbo. I love the atmosphere and style of this game. I remember, like, I don't know if it was trailers or little bits of gameplay about this game way back when it came out, and like they emphasized the spiders so much, and the spiders like dead in the first like 10 minutes of the game. Fun little puzzle not a platformer, but little puzzle sections here and there. I am actually prefer this to Inside. I just like the art style a bit more. It's a little bit shorter. It's the same kind of puzzle oriented spooky like games. I just prefer Limbo a little bit more, maybe because I played it before. I like the art style more. Go with that. All right, let's look over everything here. Doom 64, I had not planned on putting in the D tier. It was going to go to the bottom of C, but just thinking about it, that last level, that last boss pissed me off so much that it left a sour taste in my mouth. So D for Doom 64. Little Nightmares 3, my most disappointing game of the year. Sea of Thieves and Overcooked 2, super fun to play with friends, but as games by themselves, not my cup of tea. Pumpkin Jack disappointed me. Just straight vibes. That's all it has for it, really. Dark Ages, Silent Hill F disappointed me a bit. No, I'm Not Human. Not my genre, but I respect it for what it is. The Doom 1 and Doom 2. They would teeter between the top of B and bottom of A minus, but I respect them for what they are, what they gave us in terms of first-person shooter. The music, the atmosphere, the style of the games, especially the level design with Doom 2 just really impressed me. Maybe put Kazan. Yeah. Kazan's combat is definitely more my thing over Arkham. And again, Pokemon Scarlet's fun. Again, I hold to the belief that it is the kind of Pokemon world I wanted as a little kid. Like, I want big open space with a bunch of Pokemon running around. Wish the game was optimized better on release. I wish poor Game Freak, right, was given more time by Nintendo to develop an actual phenomenal looking and performing game. I also think Pokemon's gotten a lot easier than what I remember from my childhood. Like the Cynthia fight in Platinum, I think is way better than anything we get in Scarlet or recent games. Anyway, that's why I want to play some Pokemon ROM hacks next year. Kazan, fun combat. Ghost, good there. Latro, the first roguelite I played. Super Mario. Neo, I'm still playing. I hit credits, but I'm going to do the DLC. Resident Evil 4's placement is probably low for some people, but again, I played the remake first. I like the remake more. Still respect it for what it is. Had a good time playing it. Chronos, I think probably the most underrated game of the year. Man, Doom Eternal was so much fun. Like, once I figured out how the combat works, right? Okay. Where were we? Yeah, I think I'm satisfied with this for the most part. Like, the games that are in S tier reach that upper echelon of some of my favorites of all time. Was blown away by Expedition 33 this year. I know, join the club, right? Black Myth Wukong, definitely my kind of style. My favorite Pokemon game of all time. The game I've invested the most amount of time into this year. I cannot believe that. Yeah. Here we go. Here is all of the games I have played in 2025. Been a great year for games, I think. And yeah, I'd be very curious to know your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree, think I'm full of shit. And yeah, that's all I got here. What is going on here? I am just all over the place here. But yeah, thank you so much. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope your 2026 starts out well, and I look forward to see what this year has to come. Cheers.